Now, chapter 2 of the story written by Bear Grylls, The Cave Challenge. We had chapter 1. This one is called Frisbee Frolics. We've got a Frisbee. We play in the backyard. Do you have a Frisbee? Harry had timed his leap perfectly. As the Frisbee curved through the air and into his hands, he felt a thrill of satisfaction as his fingers closed around the spinning plastic. Half a second later, his feet hit the ground. Splat! He'd landed right in the middle of a muddy puddle. Dirty water splashed onto his white socks, his white trainers, and his light grey cargo shorts. There's the spinning Frisbee. He doesn't like getting dirty, I don't think, Harry. They were supposed to have played in the sports hall, where it was nice and dry and clean. That was why he had chosen Team Frisbee. But the hall had accidentally double booked, and Team Frisbee had to go outside onto the football pitch, the damp and muddy football pitch. Harry stared at his feet in horror, too distracted to notice someone snatching the Frisbee from his hand. "Hey!" he protested. "Ha ha!" The girl who snatched it grinned and flung it on to another teammate. This was Team Frisbee. You had to get the Frisbee into the team's goal. You couldn't run with the Frisbee. You could only throw it. There she is. Harry's in the muddy puddle, and he's so shocked he didn't see the girl running past and snatching the Frisbee. You could jump and catch the Frisbee if it was flying, or you could knock it out of the air with your hand or your body, and you could snatch it away from someone who had just caught it, as long as you did it within 1 second, which the girl on the other team had done. "Harry!" George shouted in frustration. He had been in the perfect position for Harry to pass it to him. Now the Frisbee was soaring into the goal. The yellow team cheered while the red team groaned and stared at Harry. The ref blew her whistle. "End of quarter 1. Time to swap over," she called. And the teams had 5 players each, but there were more than 10 people playing, so they swapped in and out at the end of each quarter. That way, everybody got a go. It was Harry's turn to swap out. Probably best, he thought bitterly. Yet another activity ruined. He plonked himself down on the bench and glared at his splattered trainers. Harry watched glumly from the bench as the next quarter started. He checked his pockets to see if he had something to wipe the mud off, but all he pulled out was the compass that Evie had given him. Remember, Evie gave him a compass because she squirted oil all over his jeans. He didn't like that either. Huh? That was weird. He was sure he had left the compass in his jeans in the tent. He must have been in a rush, and he picked it up again without even thinking. Harry studied it again. He still didn't see what Evie thought was very special about it. It was a regular compass, a dial, a needle, and 5 directions. As if that wasn't strange enough, the needle started spinning round and around. Harry stared. What was the point of a compass with 5 directions and a broken needle? He shoved it back in his pocket and stood up. Some of his teammates who were waiting for their next turn were messing about on the playground near to the pitch. It had an all-weather surface, you know, that nice soft rubbery stuff. So Harry guessed he could join in and not get his trainers any more muddy. Harry balanced on a rolling log for a while before moving onto the rope swing. He gripped the rope between his hands and knees and swung himself out into the air. There he goes. Whee! Out of nowhere, a whole wall of solid rock came zooming straight at him. Ah! Harry landed so hard on the rock that he let go of the rope. He turned around and saw there was nothing behind him. He was right on the edge of a narrow stone ledge above a lake of blue water. Harry waved his arms in circles, trying to regain his balance, until at last he was standing up straight again. He stared around him in amazement. Camp had vanished. The football field and playground and his friends had all gone. He looked up. His ledge was almost at the bottom of a giant stone pitch. The water was a few metres below him, so clear that Harry could easily see the rocky bed as he stared at a shoal of fish that swam lazily beneath him. The pit was roughly circular, about 30 metres wide and deep. Its stone sides were almost hidden behind a curtain of vines and creepers. There was a vast overhang all around the top, so that even Harry couldn't climb up there. It would be impossible to climb out. It was incredibly hot and humid. The ledge was only 3 or 4 metres long. Harry moved up and down, looking everywhere for a way out. But he soon saw there was no way out. He was stuck here. "Hi there," a man's voice echoed around the stone pit, and Harry's head whipped around. And that's the end of the chapter. But we do see, can you see? There is a man there on the other side. And there's Harry whipping his head around to see what happens. Oh. So the next chapter is called The Caveman. We'll see what happens then, because this book is about the cave challenge. In that chapter, we talked about the nice clean water and seeing the pebbles underneath. Yes, and Torben, that reminds me of Ferndale when we walked along there, and you can see all the stones and pebbles underneath the water. We don't have any creeks around here, do we, Celeste? We don't have any creeks that we can see running water. Maybe when we're on holidays, when we go camping. Okay, next chapter next week.